All right, my friends, so I sent an email to my email subscribers this morning about doing a Roth conversion while you're working, making pretty good money, and you're in a high tax state. Actually, pretty good, got some good responses from that for sure. One guy emailed me, it was a good response. He said, hey, you've been trying to convince me all this time to do Roth conversions, but now you're telling me if I'm in a high tax state and I'm making pretty good money, I shouldn't do it. And he was like, what's going on? He wasn't mean, it was fine, but it was a good question. So I figured I'd address that here. I'm down watching my kids play tennis. I don't know if y'all can see that. Anyway, can you see that there? Yeah, there. All right, cool. Anyway, so the issue, so what happens is the guy has sent me a spreadsheet. It was interesting, and I like this guy a lot. He does some pretty good spreadsheet work, and his argument was if I'm in a 22% tax bracket while I'm working, making pretty good money, and I do a Roth conversion while I'm in the 22% tax bracket and I'm in a high tax state, like in this case it was Connecticut, I'm leaving money on the table relative to not doing a Roth conversion while I'm working, retiring, and then moving to a lower tax state. And that man is 100% right. I completely agree that if you think your taxes are going up, you should do the Roth conversion. If you think your taxes are going down, you shouldn't. In this case, he's saying I separate from service from a 22% job and go into a 12% tax bracket. Then I can move from Connecticut to Georgia or Alabama, something like that. I can't remember, but Texas and or Florida. I won't pay any state income tax. 100% correct. But here's a problem with that. What if you're wrong? What I mean by that is, let's say, I don't know, you're 50 years old. You're gonna be working for another 10 years or so, and you're like, yeah, I'm in a 22% tax bracket now, and I don't want to do a Roth convert, or I don't want to contribute to my Roth 401k because when I retire, I'll be in a lower tax bracket than I am today, and all the stuff we just said. But do we know that to be true? And that's the wonder. In fact, we know for a fact that the Trump tax bills rates are gonna expire 2026. So we know if you're in a 22% tax bracket today, you will be in a 25% one, was that 6 years from now, unless Congress does something. And I'm telling you, if you think Congress is looking for more ways to get you to save more money as opposed to more ways to get you to pay more tax, I think that's being blissfully ignorant, that's for sure. Congress wants money, and they're going to do whatever they can to get it. So I think my argument to this guy was like, look, man, if you're 2 years out from retirement, you're in a 22% tax bracket, and you're in Connecticut, and you're going to move to a low tax state, Tennessee, Georgia, or something like that, and you're not going to have hardly any income. We're only in the 12% bracket. Yeah, you don't want to be doing Roth conversions at this point. Wait, but if you're a few years out, high probability your tax bracket is going to be higher, if not much higher in the future. And another thing too is everyone says they're going to move. I mean, just look at the demographics. The vast majority of people just don't move. Everyone's like, oh, all these people are fleeing California to Idaho. It's simply not true. I mean, there are some, or they're fleeing California to Texas. The vast majority of retirees retire in place. It's just, I mean, again, yes, there are some people who leave. At the end of the day, not that many. And so the likelihood of it being you is probably quite small, just because if you look at the numbers that actually do relocate, they aren't very high. People like where they're at. We got all kinds of studies on this. They like the community, they like where they're comfortable, they like the environment they're in, and especially when it comes to retirement, your state taxes just aren't that bad. They're just not. I always use Georgia for an example. We're never on the list of tax-free states in retirement, so people overlook the fact that Georgia is very beneficial. The first $65,000 of income, once you're over, I think it's 65 years old, is tax-free. And so if you're married filing jointly, that's $130,000 of income you have tax-free. Yet everyone says, oh, Tennessee state income tax-free, Florida state income tax-free, and they miss the state right in the middle, which is a good old GA, Georgia. And so because of that, a lot of people, if you're living in Georgia and you're like, why would you want to move to Florida? Doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to move to Tennessee? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, there might be other reasons for that. But again, the taxes aren't the big problem here. It's and from the state, it's the federal tax is the biggest problem. And so now we have to contend with what's the federal tax rate going to be when I separate from service. Now again, in the 22% tax bracket now will be a 25% tax bracket in the future. So just in of itself like that alone, if it's on a merits of the current tax bracket, you would want to convert to Roth if I'm looking at 22% or 25%. If I'm looking at 22% or 12%, no, I would not want to convert to a Roth just because I'll be in a 12% tax bracket in the future. But if it's the merit of my current income versus a future income, what the tax rates are going to be, I would definitely want to convert simply because I don't believe, for me, I don't expect these tax rates to stay as low as they are. I mean, the government needs money. Social Security and Medicare are just not, they don't have the cash resources. It does not mean they're going bankrupt. But they're going to have to raise the funds somehow, and they're going to raise it from the increasing taxes. So there's just no other way around that. And they're going to do it with the voters saying, yeah, by all means, increase taxes. Why? Because the vast majority of taxable retirees or income tax for retirees are in the 12% or lower bracket. So you can easily see they're going to raise it back from 22 to 25%. Easy. I can see that a mile away. And so you're sitting there thinking, I should take advantage of the Roth at 22 to avoid the 25% hit. And if you're wrong, well, it sucks, man. You are going to lose $2,000 over the course of your life. That's, that sucks. That's not going to make or break it either way. So I hope this helps. The Roth 401k, I'm a huge fan of. I just think, oh man, I got bugs flying around me. I just think at the end of the day, it really depends on when you're going to separate from service. If you're going to separate from service in the next couple of years before the Trump tax bills are repealed or sunset, I probably wouldn't be doing Roth 401ks. If you're going to stay at your current job for another 5-10 years, it's hard to argue, and then you think you're still going to be making the kind of income you're making now in whatever tax bracket you are. It's hard for me to argue that you should not do Roth 401ks. I think you should in that regard. And if you're in a 12% bracket now and you're thinking about 25% in the future because of higher income and whatnot, man, I'd be doing a Roth 401k like you would believe. Just take advantage of the 12% tax rates. All right, as always, smash, and we'll see you next time.